Good morning, everyone. We'll start in just a moment.
You ready? Come. Good morning, everybody. Miss Dora, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. My birthday was yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Happy late birthday.
Happy birthday.
I do still have something for you. I'm gonna beat it over that today.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we're having meatloaf. And this is all the stuff that we're gonna put in. We got milk. We got my little seasonings. We got onions. In this cup, I got onions. I got celery. I got bell peppers. All of that. So I'm just going to throw it in my meatloaf. We got Italian seasoning. Just going to throw it right on in. This is all my seasonings. I got garlic.
Yeah, Miss Dora, you got the phone on mute.
Huh?
No, Dora, quick. Put the phone on mute.
I got a little cumin. I got a little black pepper. A little salt. I'm only going to put a little of it in there right now because I'm going to work it up. I got eggs. I got to beat my eggs up. This is just to make my meatloaf up. So this is, I had 4 eggs because I increased the amount of ground turkey that I have. So the meatloaf going to be a little bit bigger than what originally stove it in. So this is my whipped up eggs. I didn't put it all in there yet. This is my breadcrumbs. I increased everything because, like I say, I'm making the meatloaf a little bit bigger. I originally stove and had a cup of breadcrumbs, so I got about a cup and a half. But I'm going to go put a little in at a time. I ain't going to put my milk in there yet, but this is ketchup and pasta sauce. Or you can just use tomato sauce. So I'm not going to pour all of it in because I'm going to use some for my topping. So I'm just going to put some of it in there. I'm going to work it up a little bit. You don't work it too much, just to get it mixed all up. It's not going to take very long. And if you want to, you really could put a little barbecue sauce in it. That's left up to you. Play with it. I'm going to use the rest of my breadcrumbs. That's just kind of to help it hold it together. And remember what I told you about tasting raw meat. Don't do it, but I do. Just to check my seasoning. I'm gonna put the rest of my seasoning in it. And this is just the seasoning to taste, really. And you can always add more seasoning after you cook it too. Okay, this should be good enough. That's better. This is the pan I'm gonna cook it in. And it's just a regular oven pan. And I got you don't have to spray it or anything. So I'm gonna put my first layer of meat in the bottom of the pan and just spread it out. You can make it in a loaf, but I'm not gonna do a loaf. I'm just gonna spread it out all over the bottom part of my pan. Make it fit your corners. And in mine today, I'm putting my mask gonna be so dirty. This is just, I had some spinach, and this is cooked spinach. I cooked it, drained it, put it in my towel to get that juice, get the juice out of it. And you just gonna put it all over your meatloaf in the bottom part. You don't have to do that. That's just me. We experiment a little bit. Just put it all over. And I think you can remember that we had this here before too, a couple of times. I don't remember nobody complaining. And if you eat spinach and greens and stuff, this would be perfect. Yeah, and this is just a pound of spinach. Okay. Okay. Okay, I got cheese. I got cheese. I'm gonna sprinkle some cheese over your spinach.
What we making today?
You got meatloaf.
Oh, okay, that's
This meatloaf is made out of turkey today. It's supposed to be ground ground beef, but I just went with turkey. And you basically season it you season it the same way.
Okay. Good, we got it for you. All right, coming at you.
So you're gonna put another layer of ground turkey over the top of this. So really you got 2 layers of ground turkey. Ooh. And you just gonna mash it down in your pan. This is just your second topping. Try to have it all covered up. I'm gonna mash it down more when I get all the meat in it.
How long did you steam the spinach?
I just until it got tender.
Oh, okay.
You just want it tender because it's gonna cook a little more in the meatloaf.
Okay.
And then you just gonna Gonna spread this all over the top.
Uh-huh.
Meatloaf.
Charlie Spanish. Yeah, now.
As soon as I get through spreading it out, I'm gonna let you see it better.
Uh-huh.
Girl, you make some and talk and then invite me over.
Okay, I will.
Okay, this is what it looked like. This is what it looked like.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna put some more of my pasta sauce over the top of it.
Okay.
This is the pasta sauce with the spaghetti. I mean, pasta sauce with the ketchup. Just gonna spread it all over the top. And I got the oven set at 350. Okay, this is what it looked like.
Looks good.
Okay. I'm gonna wrap it in some aluminum foil. You don't have to spray it with non-stick spray, but this is me. It's only gonna have to brown, that's all. And you're gonna wrap it with aluminum foil. And I'm gonna stick it in the oven. I got rice in the oven. I cooked my rice earlier. It's just regular rice. I bake my rice. Okay.
That cooking it quicker if you bake it?
It's still gonna steam, and it's the same way if you boiling it. Only thing when you're boiling it, you got it on top of the stove, and you probably got a top on it. You don't let the water cook completely out or almost out. This is the way mine came out. I took it with a little salt, a little butter, and I put a little parsley on mine just to make it look cute. It's just plain white rice. And when you're cooking it in your water, you can put chicken base in it, beef base. You can make it different flavors if you want. You can even put tomatoes and different stuff in it, just to have it a little different from just plain white rice.
You can add vegetables?
You can add vegetables and stuff to it. You can put diced carrots in it, peas, almost any vegetable, and just cook it like you, huh?
Can you use brown rice that way?
Brown rice is you can do it, yes.
Okay.
Only thing with your brown rice, with your vegetables, they might be cooked too done. Because with brown rice, you know you gotta always cook it a little bit longer.
You can add your vegetables later.
You can add about halfway through, you can add your vegetables. But if you gonna open this,
Okay.
if you gonna open this foil up, when you open this foil up, you gotta be really careful because that steam is gonna pop out and you ain't trying to get burnt. So you gotta be really careful when you open it up. So I'm just gonna sit this on top of the stove for now. Right now I'm gonna put my green beans on. If we having green beans with it. You can have a salad with it, or you can have some other kind of vegetable with it. I just choose green beans. And the only thing I'm putting with the green beans is I got onions, garlic. I always use garlic. That's me though. A little butter, salt, little pepper, or just season it to taste. If you want to, you can even put potatoes in it. That's left up to you. You can throw a bay leaf in it. It ain't gonna do nothing to it but add a little flavor. These are the regular green, cut green beans. I know we got a lot of these in the pantry.
Oh, okay. So you want the juice and all in there?
Huh?
Juice and all in it?
Yes, you don't have to put all the juice in it. You can drain, depending on how many cans you're using, you can drain some of those cans so you won't have a whole lot of juice. Because the only thing you're doing is heating it up really anyway. And use as many cans as you need just to feed the amount of people that you're feeding. In this situation, I use 5. I got butter in here. The only thing you're gonna do is just put it on the stove and just let it cook a little bit. Well, let it heat up. This is just black pepper and salt. I use kosher salt.
Use it sparing.
Don't go, huh?
Just kosher salt better than regular salt.
Yes. Yes.
Use it sparing.
But you gotta be careful on your salt and your pepper. I don't really measure too much of anything. I'm just used to putting a certain amount in there, but like I say, put it to your taste. Don't just go and just dump it over in there. But you can always put more seasoning in it later.
Oh, okay.
This is the pasta sauce that I use for to mix in with my tomato ketchup.
Oh, okay.
You got a lot of that already in the refrigerator, in the kitchen too. That's part of the stuff that's in our boxes, bags that we give out.
Okay.
So that's just another way of getting rid of some of your canned goods. And you use as many cans as you need, depending on your the amount of meat that you're cooking. And this was just a regular container of ketchup.
Okay. Are you mixing more?
Huh?
You mixing more sauce?
This is gonna be to go over the top. Once you get done, you're gonna put this over the top of your meatloaf.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah, once it get done, then you're gonna put it back in there and let it cook for about 10, 15 more minutes. Just to, just to get that taste on it. You really don't need to put any more seasoning in it, that's for sure.
Tomato sauce is already seasoned.
your tomato sauce and your pasta sauce is already seasoned. And like I say, you can always add more seasoning once it get done. Try not to overdo it on your seasoning though. Especially if the ones that has high blood pressure and stuff, be kind of careful with your seasoning.
I was put 4 in, but you can't take that out.
Okay, basically, it's already, I got it together. And you can see I didn't use the milk. I had a half a cup of milk. I didn't use the milk because my meatloaf with my other juices, like with my egg and with my pasta sauce and the ketchup and stuff, it was already, I'll say, juicy enough, moist enough. So I didn't use it. So
If you got dry meat, now
and
you put it in, you want to add your milk to give it some moisture.
if your meat is really dry, when you put all your stuff in it, your breadcrumbs or crackers or whatever, you're gonna use, then you add your milk to it. You don't necessarily have to put that in there because you had your eggs too. Everything was, with the liquid. So you really didn't. I didn't need it, so I didn't use it.
And you do that to keep your meatloaf from
I don't
being
want
dry.
I didn't want my meatloaf to be dry. Plus, I don't want it falling apart either.
Yeah.
So that's what I had more breadcrumbs.
Juicy?
If it's too juicy, and you don't have any crackers or breadcrumbs or you can really. I use if I don't have that. I use croutons. I put croutons in a bag, or either put it in a Ziploc bag and use something to break it up, to mash them up. Or either you can use a rolling pin, or you can put them in the chopper and hit it a couple of times, and that'll break them all up. And also by putting them in your meatloaf, the moisture from the meatloaf, it will make them soft enough. And you can use flour too. And you got oatmeal. You can always use oatmeal too. So that's just some things that you can put in it to help it hold it together. And like I say, I
Don't use
toast.
flavored oatmeal.
Huh?
Don't want to use flavored oatmeal, right?
Right. You don't want to, like I said, you don't want to overdo it.
You don't want the apple cinnamon oatmeal.
No, you don't need that apple, just regular oatmeal, not the cinnamon or maple flavor. You don't need none of that. Just plain oatmeal. Also, on your meatloaf, you can, like when you're using ground beef, try to get a ground beef that's maybe 80% or more lean. You don't want a lot of fat in your meatloaf. Not to me. If it looks kind of, how you buy ground beef when you buy it, it's all pink and pretty on the outside, but when you break it open, it's kind of brownish looking. Yeah, you don't want to get that, but I know you can't really tell until after you done got it. And be careful with the smell. If it's got an odor to it, you need to take that back or not use that. So just be kind of careful. You ain't trying to get sick. So
March,
A small roll of ground turkey in here. I'm gonna try what they between.
you can also mix ground turkey and ground beef together. A lot of people, when they're doing a meatloaf, they put other, meat in the ground turkey, or some of them even use pork sausage and stuff in it. And it's not bad. Like I say, experiment with it a little bit.
Okay.
Americans might think that meatloaf is all-American meal hailing from the good old U.S. of A. Maybe born within a diner-type restaurant back in the 40s. That's wrong. Meatloaf actually has a very rich history that goes far beyond the shores and started much earlier than last century. Meatloaf was mentioned in the famous Roman cookery collection Apicus as early as the 5th century. Romans enjoyed meatloaf made with wine-soaked bread, spices, and pine nuts. In medieval Europe, they prepared the meatloaf mixed with nuts, spices, and fruit. Many cultures like Germany, Hungary, Greek, Italian, and Filipino often hide hard-boiled eggs within their meatloaf. Chilean meatloaf, known as asado alemán, means German roasted meat, is a staple of southern Chile cuisine, especially in areas known for having being influenced by the arrival of German settlers during the 18th and 19th century. Did you know that?
No, I really didn't.
No.
And that's good to know.
No.
Because I just thought meatloaf was a plain old American everyday thing.
Yeah.
Like hamburgers. So that's what I thought.
Meatloaf is one of those underappreciated all-American type dishes that we often don't pay much attention to.
That's true. I don't. Meatloaf is just like having a hamburger. It's just meatloaf. Also today, this is Roman's idea. He was telling me about some yeast rolls that he had seen. Or somebody gave him some yeast rolls and they were so good. You know, they used to have yeast rolls back in the day when you used to go to school. And that's the only place that you would get them. So I went to the store last night and I found some yeast rolls. These are the yeast rolls. They was little bitty things. And you put them on your cookie sheet. You spread a cookie sheet, put them on your cookie sheet. They use, when you come out, they be about that big around when you put them on there. So they be froze. So you put them on the cookie sheet, spray it, then spray the top of it, and just set it somewhere in the kitchen where it's pretty warm at, and they're going to double its size, and this really double its size.
Do you need to cover it up?
And you need to cover it up to keep the heat in, and, you know, so they can rise up more. And this is what they look like now. So, and I spread the top of it, so it'll, when I take this off, it won't stick. So we're gonna have yeast rolls. They're supposed to sit out about anywhere from 3 to 5 hours to double in size. By the time you get through cooking, or almost through cooking, if you take them out when you first get started, then they'll be to double this size, and all you need to do is just pop them in the oven. I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I pop them in the oven. And when you pop them in the oven, they're gonna be cooked. They're gonna cook for about 15 to 20 minutes until they get that golden brown color. And then you're gonna butter them down. So that's something that you can just eat yeast rolls anyway. Just eat them.
My sister made some for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know.
My sister made some for Thanksgiving. I didn't get one. Oops.
What else
Maybe
you got?
okay.
It takes a lot. It takes a while to make a yeast roll. You don't just go and just put it together or whatever. It takes time because it's got to rise, and then you got to beat it back down, and then let it rise again, and it takes some time. So if you got a lot of patience, or really don't have too much to do, try doing some yeast rolls. You won't be sorry.
Delicious.
Yes.
That would work for my class.
So, so right now we just kind of messing around.
Did you know that during the Great Depression, meatloaf became a staple in many homes? Because of its ability to stretch cheap meat into several meats by adding inexpensive breadcrumbs, oats, or other starches, it really made it inexpensive meal during hard times, during the Great Depression.
Okay. And then there's a lot of things that you can do with ground beef and ground turkey. You got all kind of meatloaf, you got meatballs, you got tacos, you got all kind of different dishes that you can make with it. You can even do the taco, what do you call it? I want to say taco pie, which is, that mean that the, you're going to make you put the corn, tomatoes, and all that in your ground beef once you done cooked it and seasoned it up with onions and peppers and stuff. And You're gonna put the tomato sauce or tomato paste in it, and you make I'll say hot water cornbread. Put it in the bottom of your pan,
Or tamale
and
pie.
yes, it's tamale pie. That's what it is. And you can use taco seasoning to season it up, but you put it in the hot water cornbread in the bottom of your greased pan, and you can put it in the oven and kind of bake a little, just to have to get it burned. Then you take it out and put your mixture, which is ground beef, corn, tomatoes, and all that stuff. Put it in the inside of that pan. Put another layer of and cheese, and put another layer of cornbread on top of it, and bake it. And you can put olives in it. Once you get through with it, once you put it in the oven, the top of it get brown, you can take it out and just sprinkle the top of it with cheese, and just let it sit for a few minutes. It is really, really good. And you can easily freeze it up. It's just a good meal, a whole meal, and really everything is already in it. You got a whole meal in one dish. You can do a salad on the side. You still can do green beans or whatever. I'm saying green beans, like green beans go with everything. But you can that's a whole meal right there in one. It's a one dish thing. And maybe we will. But I was trying to get away from so much ground beef. We're gonna start using a little chicken or some other kind of meat other than ground beef. So maybe next time, I don't know. My kids don't know how to cut up a whole chicken. So I thought about maybe we could show you how to cut up a whole chicken. Do you guys know how to cut up a whole chicken? Like I say, huh?
You cut the wings off, and then you go between the breast and the thigh, and you cut that off, and then you cut the thigh and the leg off, separate it.
Okay.
Then you ain't got nothing but the back, and I just let that on the cut board, and go in the middle of the back and whack it up.
Joy, do you know how to cut up a chicken? Oh, okay. But anyway, the way I do mine, I'm not gonna tell you, so I'm gonna show you. So I'm not gonna even tell you. But anyway, you usually come up with at least 8 pieces.
Right.
And if you want to, you can come up with more than 8 pieces, but come up with 8 pieces, okay?
Yeah, you got the 2 wings, the 2 thighs, the 2 legs, you got the 2 breasts, you got the breasts.
Right. Yeah. So you have 8 pieces of chicken.
Yeah.
We're coming over next week.
Today?
You're not cooking today, are you? You. Oh, I thought you was.
You want to bring us some lunch?
Oh, okay. But anyway, that's what some of the other things that I've been we gonna try to do. Something with chicken and maybe with pork or all other kind of meats except pork. I mean chicken, beef. So we still have a lot of canned goods in that bag, and we gonna start doing some beans too, some dry beans. So that would be a good thing to do too. Because from time to time we get dry beans.
You never say something.
What, the beans?
Uh-huh.
You can do different things. You can do it with turkey. You can do it with smoked turkey, smoked ham hocks, or just bacon, or you can use cook any kind of meat with it. If you got leftover ham, you can do sausage. Any kind of meat basically can go in beans. And you can make a combination. That too. You can definitely use the ham hocks.
When I cook my dry meat, just like Saturday evening, I had Cassidy give me a pack of those because she had the little green beans. What do you call them? Big peas.
Right.
And I washed them. I let them soak for like 10 minutes because they're swell. And then I put my ham hock in the water, boil them, my seasoning in it, and use a little bit of
Right.
And I dip my beans into the pot and cook them on slow for like 3 hours. Oh, I got split pea soup. I got 3 bowls.
Okay. And you can also cook your ham hocks in advance and get them really tender, especially that skin on the outside where it's just, you can cut it with a fork. So you can always cook that in advance. And then also like you have, I'll say pinto beans or some other kind of bean that you just don't have enough to make a meal out of, but you got a little of this kind and you got a little of that kind. So put them together.
Throw them together.
Marius Coleman says, "Good morning, Auntie. You cook."
Hey, Jameer, how you doing? But that's another way of using your beans when you don't really have enough of one kind. Put them together. And you know they got it now where you got a 15 bean soup and all that stuff.
Yes.
Put your beans together and still, don't throw your beans away. Put them together.
Okay.
Modern Meatloaf follows the invention of the meat grinder. Before the meat grinder, meat had to be laboriously minced by hand, and the meat grinder changed all of that, making the process much quicker. It may be rare to own now, but a meat grinder used to be a normal kitchen tool, ensuring that everyone could grind his own or her own meat. And what better use for ground beef than meatloaf? Meatloaf became more popular after this important culinary invention. Do you have a meat grinder?
I don't right now, but we used to have one and I hated it. But I wasn't trying to do all that, but we had to do it.
Yeah.
So yes, we did have one. I'm not trying to do all that now.
But you could.
I could. Being raised on a farm, you had to do all of that stuff.
Right.
You had to butcher your own meat. I'm gonna spray this and I'm gonna put it in the oven and start cooking it off. I got the oven on 325. So I'm gonna put this in the oven right now. I'm gonna switch ovens. I'm gonna put my meatloaf in the regular oven and I'm gonna put my rolls in the convection oven. So I'm just gonna switch up a little bit.
It's more to easily eat.
The convection oven really it cooks faster and it browns up beautifully.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go ahead on and put both of my pans of biscuits in the oven. And see, this just make it not stick to your bread. See how easily it comes off? It's gonna be beautiful when it comes out. Now, only thing we can do is just wait a little while to let our meatloaf get done.
Yeah, George is back. Ask him about cutting that chicken.
Joy, do you know how to cut up a chicken?
Oh, yeah, I know it, bro. That's the hand I'm saying with right there.
I know I shouldn't have asked you that, George, because I knew you knew.
They got a chance they don't get that recipe for the beef stew.
Okay.
Like you get it.
Okay, but you know you can also.
When you gave me some of that beef stew, I said, "Hey, boo-boo-boo-boo."
Well, George, you know you can do a pork stew the same as you do a beef stew.
And if I don't get the recipe from you, you do it the best.
Okay, George.
It's all east and west.
Well, whenever you get a chance, just let me know and you can come and get it, okay?
We got it ready for it.
That's the only time I do that. But I got checked up and hustling late.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still gotta eat though, so.
Yeah. I won't fix it like you know what? You gave me it tasted so good. I had it to the last drop.
Wasting out one.
The veggies and the beef, they had the beef and it came out nice.
Well, George, I'm glad you're one of my biggest fans.
Don't believe me. I say, great googa, that's it.
That means it's good, right?
Yes, man, that was good.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Come on, Ramon gonna give us some more facts about the meatloaf and whatever else he can think of. I know I'm putting him on the spot right now.
Okay, Meatloaf is incredibly adaptable. Many home cooking style restaurants serve classic meatloaf, with diners appreciating the meatloaf that survived through all this history. For some, it speaks of a mother's love. But since meatloaf takes on variations so easily, the fine dining scene also features it with rich and exotic ingredients, showing that it dresses up well as it dresses down. There are plenty of recipes for making it at home that use more specialty items like mushrooms, wines, special spices, unusual meats, and more. You can keep it as plain and simple or as fancy as you like.
Okay. But it's always fun to experiment with different recipes. Don't never just do it the same way or use the same ingredients. Just experiment with it. I mean, you'd be surprised at what you come up with. Might be better than the one you made before. I have a lot of tasters around here, so I try to experiment with them all the time. Every chance I get.
And we just hate that.
As we wipe our mouths clean.
Another thing we're gonna try to do too, since we get a lot of rice, I don't really, me personally, because I was brought up with it, is rice pudding. I don't really care too much for rice pudding, but we get a lot of rice, so we're gonna try to start doing rice pudding just to see, who else likes it, or that's another way of getting rid of some of your rice that you've been getting too. So that would be a good thing for us to do.
Okay, I've got 3 questions I'd like to ask the audience. And I'd like for them to respond. What item was hidden within the meatloaf by the German, Hungarian, Greeks, Italian, and Filipino? What items did they put into the meatloaf that I talked about earlier?
I say breadcrumbs.
No, they put that in, but that wasn't what I'm looking for.
You talking about the nuts?
No, not that one.
Girl?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll tell you. They'll put a hard-boiled egg within the meatloaf.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's a hard-boiled egg that they'll put in the meatloaf.
Oh, that's right.
I've had it that way. It's like, what a surprise. Wasn't expecting to have a hard-boiled egg in the middle of the meatloaf. It tastes really good.
so was they boil the egg
Yeah.
and mix it in with the meat?
Whole.
Let's get this right.
Okay.
They put it on whole. But they boil it first, and as you're putting your meatloaf together, put it in the center of the meatloaf, and then go ahead and cook the meatloaf.
Okay. We don't have to try that.
Okay. I got another question for you. What invention made meatloaf more popular? We spoke about that a few minutes ago. We asked Miss Archie if she had one. That's it. Bingo! Bingo! Very good. Yeah.
We have a winner.
Because there we go. Right. You cut it down into pieces and then you push it down with that pestle, and you grind it up, and it makes those tough, cheap cuts of meat more tender. And I got one more question. What era of history did meatloaf become really popular in recent history? We talked about that a little earlier. That's it. Ding, 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 ding. Give the minute. Keep it on.
Okay, George, you can't keep all the answers, okay?
Share it with Miss.
You're going to have to share with Dora. Keep on now.
All right.
I mean.
Just one for her.
There we go.
Are you going to share, George? Okay.
All righty. Well, guess what? You and Miss Dora get a meatloaf dinner today. Yeah!
What?
Hey! All right now.
Something like that.
Let's ask Archie.
That'll work. That'll work.
All right, congratulations, you two.
Must be after the show.
After the show. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, George,
It's gonna be too much for you. I eat it.
I'm gonna just check this. I'm gonna just check this meatloaf for a second. It's getting there. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. This is what it's looking like right now. It's getting there. Yes, it is.
Almost.
I'm gonna take the foil off. And I'm gonna pop it back in there for a little bit.
That really looks good.
Yes, it does. So I'm gonna pop it back in there for a second. Oh my God, our rolls look too pretty. I mean. And you guys gotta tell me some things that you would like to see us try to cook. So if you can come up with some suggestions too, that would be great.
Well, I wait till you make the bread pudding.
Well, bread, George, nobody said anything about bread pudding. I mean, we was talking about rice pudding, but that's one thing we could do too is bread pudding.
Yeah, whenever you continue on with the class now.
Well, you know, sometimes we have, we get the loaves of bread too with the boxes. So a lot of times you have bread left over, and that's a good thing to make up your bread pudding with. So that's.
I eat bread pudding. I don't do rice pudding.
Have you tried bread pudding?
I love bread pudding. But the rice pudding is like too soupy. But I add.
Well, maybe they didn't. Well, you can make it different ways. So maybe they just had it a little too soupy. Try it again. Just because it didn't work out the first time, try it again.
Okay.
I know I used to not like squash until the right people started cooking.
Exactly. And that's something else we have in our boxes too. Is squash. We gonna get around to cooking squash and carrots and doing the vegetable bag. That's one thing we need to do. I'm not.
Eat the squash.
I think if you cook it a different way, Dora, I think you might like it.
Yeah.
So don't say you're not gonna, you don't like it or whatever. Just
I always try something,
yeah. So just try.
If it tastes hot.
Well, we're gonna do it a different way and see how you like it then. Just try it again.
Okay.
Spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash.
I never had it.
Never heard of spaghetti squash?
I've heard of the spaghetti squash, but not that I can remember I've ever used it or had it. I love spaghetti though, and I didn't used to eat squash either, because that was one of the things coming up that we raised, and I hated it. But I'll eat it now. And beets. I didn't eat beets, but now I do. So I mean,
I love beets.
don't never say what we don't. You know,
You ain't gonna do.
we had one bad experience with it. Just try again.
Okay.
But that's something that's coming down the road. So just hang in there with us.
Stay tuned.
So Meatloaf is getting there, so let's give it a few more minutes.
Live on air.
It's a long time in preparation.
What do you say?
He said it's a long time in preparation.
We just this morning we just had a little bit more time because it was a meatloaf, and we want to make sure that it's cooked right, and you know, so we use the oven a little bit more now. Okay, on our
Oh, look at that.
these are our rolls, guys.
Ooh, they're gorgeous.
Yes. And you can let it stay in and brown a little bit longer if you want. But in the meantime, and in between time, this-
Bring a little butter.
you know, you just let that butter just go all down between it and all
Oh, yeah.
around it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know we ain't supposed to be having all this butter, but
That's right. We're just gonna do those five, right?
see that, look at it.
What's that? You say?
Oh,
George, what'd you say?
That is beautiful.
it is.
I bet your taste is as good as it looks.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Makes you not want to eat it.
Nah. Yes, your mouth.
We just gonna sit it aside and let it just kind of cool off a little bit. You really ain't supposed to cut them. You're supposed to just pull them
Come
apart.
on, bro.
I don't care how you get them, as long as I get some.
It's more.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, wow.
You got them straight.
There you go. Woo. I'm gonna set this on top of the stove.
What are you doing with that?
I'm gonna pour my meatloaf out.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sprinkle some more, put some more sauce on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We gonna watch you do that.
And we gonna stick it back in the oven for a little while longer.
And that sauce is good on top of that rice, huh?
Yes, that's just you could make a gravy if you wanted to, and put it over your rice and stuff, or you can just use the juice and stuff that's coming from your meatloaf, and just put that over your rice. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more cheese on it. Because you can always add cheese on top of it later too. And then you might not even want cheese.
Have you ever put bacon on a meatloaf?
I made a regular meatloaf and made it in a roll and wrapped it with bacon strips. And it is really, really good.
Everything's better with bacon.
Wait, should I let it brown a little bit more?
What you all think?
What do you think? What George say?
Second.
Brown a little bit more?
We said look all right.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna take this out. The meatloaf gonna cook for about another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm gonna put some butter on these. We're just waiting on our meatloaf.
Well, I give you a zoom in on that.
You can tell
It's like donuts.
I mashed that one down in these two. That wasn't right, but it's good. Okay. We ain't gonna overdo it on the butter. Okay, we just gonna set these aside. Let them cool a little bit. And we just gonna wait on our meatloaf. Well, I need to set it on here.
Miss Archie,
Huh?
the meatloaf cooks faster when it's in a flat pan instead of a roll.
Well, the roll, that's gonna make it a little bit thicker.
Right.
But you can do it either way. You just gonna, add a little bit more cooking time. That's all.
Oh, okay.
If you like to have it in a roll, then go ahead and roll it, because it's gonna be thicker. And then with your flat, like I had it there, that's kind of in a cake style. You're just gonna be flat, and you're gonna cut it in cubes.
I think I'd rather have it that way because you can put, like you say, your spinach and your cheese and whatever.
Well, you still can do your spinach and cheese in the roll. You just have to get you a cookie sheet, that wax paper, and put it on there and shake it, and just roll it.
You see, you got some papers.
Um,
You see, get some parchment paper.
And I do have some parchment paper too. So whenever, just remind me of it, okay? I do have some that I'm gonna give away. So that'll be a way of getting some.
Bring me some.
Well, maybe George will bring it to you when he does the pickup.
Oh, okay.
Maybe now, I'm not volunteering.
Okay. But he's so busy, he comes and he just flies out.
George has stuff to do.
Dang.
Gotta be sliding like a running for a home run.
There you
But
go.
my brother, though, I have to give him credit.
All right, then.
Just living my life.
This is for your bread.
I won't complain.
Look at that, look at that.
Okay. This is what my green beans is looking like. This is my green beans. You can see the onions and stuff is kind of on top.
Yeah.
They're all ready. And you can throw some meat in here too. You can do bacon. You can do basically any kind of meat. Like you had some leftover bacon or sausage this morning from breakfast, throw it in there.
Okay.
Or even if you have some leftover ham, you can just put it in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just gonna make it just, oh God, so much better. So, we just gotta wait a few minutes. It's almost done, y'all.
Worth waiting for.
You can give me a scoop. I need the radio. I need the radio. I need the radio. I need the cat. I'm about to start fixing a plate.
You need the radio?
I need for that cabinet. I got it.
Did you miss the mix?
Stick to the place now. Call it clean it up. You're pausing for station identification. Okay, you see yourself.
George, you working today?
Yeah.
Oh, what that for?
I was looking for a scooper.
Okay, guys, back.
You got me yesterday.
All right, that's good.
Okay, guys.
That just a scoop of rice.
So,
Oh. Oh, so you want to
so, I'm gonna break down these.
Okay.
They gonna run slow, running.
Okay,
They
you guys, you're nationwide now. You're online.
Okay, this is your meatloaf. I'm gonna put it back in the oven just to get more brown. No. This is my meatloaf. You can cut it basically any way you want to cut it.
Oh, I think you're going to cut this squares.
Yeah. Right here.
So, okay.
You guys see I'm not all together this morning.
There you go. That's what.
See, you can see your spinach. You can see the cheese and melted, but you definitely can see your spinach.
I said Dora's mouth is butter. I said, yes, it is. Green beans.
I'm gonna stick this back in the oven just to let my top brown a little more. And your green beans.
Look at that, look at
There you
that.
go, you guys. That's my plate. And if you want to, you could just put your rolls right there if you wanted to. Or you could put it on your separate plate. But that's my meatloaf for today. And when you make it, enjoy it.
It looks good, Miss Archie.
Well, you tell me about it later after you get your couple of bites, okay?
George, you're gonna pick that up for you and Miss Dora, right?
Byron's coming down the hallway. He's running down here now. Look at it. Coming down the hallway now.
But that's my meatloaf for today. It's spinach.
Okay, well, look good right now.
All right then.
You on my way to Sam's in a twist.
All right, I'll be ready for you. I'm gonna put it in a to-go cart and it'll be ready for you.
That's a little closer so you can almost taste it.
And I appreciate you guys hanging with me. Thank you.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, no problem.
When the next cookie show will be.
Next.
We're gonna have another one on the 5th of May. So don't forget to hang out with me. We're gonna
Snakes in the twist.
yeah.
Oh, you hungry, huh? Oh, yeah. Good.
And that's where your
Oh. You about to have dinner. About to have dinner for lunch. Okay, guys.
Story, we almost have to deliver to you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next time, and thanks.
Be over in this summit now.
All right.
Okay, we'll look forward to it.
Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Cooking with Archie. See you next time.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.